Hey everyone, it's Bradley Stalder tonight on Week 15 edition of the Dominator Lockdown Lineup Edition. This is also a special episode. Week 15 means the playoffs for just about everybody. Best ball streets. Most of you have been in the playoffs. You found out what your seed is. Maybe you've survived the bye. Maybe this is the podcast for you. I'm here. Billy is not. He's been battling the sickness over the last couple weeks. So I appreciate y'all. If you see him on the Twitter, tag him at FF Muzio. Hope that he feels better. So I'm stepping in, going solo tonight. Put your questions in the comments on YouTube. I know some of you are watching on the X machine and other places. You can put it on Facebook. You can put it on YouTube. So you can go to the Player Profiler YouTube channel. Make sure you guys are smashing that subscribe button. We go live multiple times throughout the week and multiple times throughout the day, throughout the week. Lots of different content. There's Dynasty. There's Best Ball. There's Start Sits. There's Front Office Talk. There's First Class Fantasy that Theo Greminger hosts. There's a multitude of different ways in which we offer great content for you in the fantasy. Whatever way you play fantasy, we've got it for you here at Player Profiler. And tonight is going to be focused on getting your lineups locked down for week number 15. So in the chat, in YouTube or Facebook or wherever you're watching, put it there in the comments, and I'm going to do my best to answer those for you. Last week, I finished 4th among all rankers in Fantasy Pros XG Rankings contest. There's like 200 rankers, so 4th in wide receiver rankings. I'm floating at 32nd overall this year. Once again, my name is Bradley Stalder. You can follow me on Twitter at FF Stalder. There's already a question in the comments. We're going to get it started. Dustin Brown jumps in. He's like, is Chris Olave going to play? I haven't heard anything that he's not going to play, but we have seen Chris Olave, take some steps back, especially dealing with these injuries and also dealing with Derek Carr. We look at the game logs for Chris Olave, and I wrote an article a week ago about the difference between when Jameis Winston even plays a couple snaps and Derek Carr plays. And in those games, Chris Olave averages over 18 fantasy points per game, when Jameis Winston is getting some snaps at quarterback, whereas he averages 12.3 fantasy points per game in games where Jameis Winston doesn't really play at all. So the key here is that we expect Derek Carr to play, and unfortunately, Chris Olave, wide receiver 26 last week in half-point PPR, 4 for 28 through the air. The Saints won 28-6, and Olave was not the main culprit here. So I haven't heard anything outside of Olave going to play. He did, based on what I'm reading here, he has a game time decision for week number 15. He did miss practice all week, so we are going to play this very close. We're monitoring Olave, but Jaden Reed is the play over Olave. That's how I have it right now. The consensus rankings for Chris Olave is at 19. I have Olave below that for the week. And Jaden Reed, we can easily get Jaden Reed into that upper 20s. I have him right now at 25, but I think we can get him even higher, given a little more clarity about Chris Olave. If we hear Olave is going to be limited, yeah, absolutely. But I still think, all things being equal, Jaden Reed is the play right now over Olave, given what we do know about Olave's injury, not practicing all week, plus Derek Carr. Plus, we know that the offense can function without him. The Saints scored 28 points last week with Olave only having 4 catches So, yeah, there we go. Dustin also said, thank you. Love your show and podcast. Appreciate you, Dustin. Thanks. It's been a lot of fun doing this all year. We've got, after tonight, 2 more episodes. We got week 16, week 17. Then we're calling it for the season. Then the Dominator resumes with Billy and I probably in the off season to talk about some drafts, about draft strategy, high stakes, different things like that. So make sure you guys are tuning in, subscribe to the Player Profiler channel. We've got a lot of awesome content for y'all. Shout out to Theo Greminger, by the way, because he's been manning this ship of content. He's our director of content here at Player Profiler. And Theo, if you're watching, if you're listening, shout out to you. Thank you. And if you guys want to tag Theo Greminger as well on Twitter, say thank you for all the work that he's doing behind the scenes to make this Player Profiler engine run on the content side. Yeah, he does. He's doing great. So shout out to you, Theo. Okay, FF Blankenberg. Thanks for tuning in. It is week 15, and Blankenberg has a question about wide receivers. Full PPR, are we going Jaden Reed or Tyler Lockett? How can we move away from Jaden Reed? Like, I don't know how we move away from Jaden Reed, especially with Christian Watson expected to sit out. Jaden Reed has been a top 12 wide receiver in 3 of the last 5 weeks. Another one of the weeks he wasn't top 12, he was 25th. So 4 of the last 5 weeks for Jaden Reed, he's been top 25 wide receiver. So his floor is a wide receiver 2 with a ceiling of low end wide receiver 1. And Christian Watson is not expected to play in this game. He is doubtful. So get Christian Watson out of your lineups. You're not going to get him back this week. Maybe we get Watson back next week. But Jaden Reed, with Christian Watson out this past week against the New York Giants, 10 targets. Yes, only 27 yards, but 8 receptions, 4 rushing attempts for 38 yards. So there's 14 opportunities for Jaden Reed. Yeah, you're putting him in your lineup. We don't know if Geno Smith is going to get the go this week. Very limited in practice. We will see. There's no guarantee about what's going to happen with him versus Drew Lock. We know that Lockett, of course, has the immense upside, even with Drew Lock at quarterback, but the floor is much, much scarier. We are looking at Jaden Reed, who's had at least 9 opportunities in 3 of the last 4 games. So that's rushing attempts plus targets. Jaden Reed needs to be in your starting lineup moving forward, especially with Christian Watson out in a game where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can run up the score along with the Packers. Both offenses can have a go at it. Aaron Jones probably going to come back for this game. He is officially questionable along with A.J. Dillon, who has a fracture in his hand. So Dillon has the fracture. Jones is questionable. The Packers did elevate Kenyon Drake today to the active roster. So, I mean, the Packers are preparing for maybe one, if not both, of their running backs to be active, but also maybe both are out. And we're looking at a Patrick Taylor plus a Kenyon Drake possibility. It's going to be ugly. But what's not going to be ugly is Jaden Reed in your lineups. So get him in to your lineups. Nikki Banks, shout out to you. PPR pick 2, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Keaton Mitchell, or Cole Kmet. Yeah, Cole Kmet is like a top 15 tight end for me this week, which is fine. But when we look at the running back situation, Clyde Edwards-Helaire right now in my initial rankings, and I'll probably do a little bit of tweaking tomorrow, but all of these rankings are pretty set. Like, there's not going to be much movement. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is running back 32 for me, and Keaton Mitchell is running back 34. So if this is like tight end premium, we're starting Kmet and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but I think I'd rather just take the shots on Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Keaton Mitchell, the 2 running backs there. Bobby Boom, semifinals, PPR, Waddle or D-Hop. Waddle did well even against Sauce in the first matchup. Thanks. Yeah, I do like Waddle this week and DeAndre Hopkins. We'll pull up the rankings because I feel like they're in similar tiers. Waddle I have at 21 for this week. DeAndre Hopkins at 17. So I do have Hopkins over Waddle. The anticipation is that Tyreek Hill is going to test out his ankle pre-game. And if he thinks he can give it a go, he's going to give it a go. Now, I was looking this up before I hopped on, and this is wild to me. So I was like, maybe in my preparation, I can say maybe we can fade Tyreek Hill this week, even with the injury. This would be, let's use some data. So let's say that he plays less than 50% of the snaps. Well, let's look at the game logs where Tyreek Hill plays less than 50% of the snaps. Tyreek Hill, week 5, 48% of snaps, finished as the wide receiver 3. Week 13, who finished as the wide receiver 5. Okay, but let's move it up just a little bit, maybe under 60%. Week 3, he played 53% of snaps, wide receiver 4 overall. He played 61% of snaps in week 6, wide receiver 3 overall. And in week 11, 59% of snaps, wide receiver 2. Week 12 against this same New York Jets team, only 66% of snaps, finished as the wide receiver 1 that week. So if Tyreek Hill is out there, I mean, his second worst week was last week when he played 47% of snaps, 4 of 61 on 5 targets, still finishes the wide receiver 36. I think that Waddle will be a back-end wide receiver 2. This secondary is still very tough for the Jets, and if they don't have to worry about Tyreek Hill, they're going to worry about Jalen Waddle. This is going to be an individually tough matchup for the Miami Dolphins. I have moved Tua down to outside my top 15 of quarterbacks for this week. So if we're picking one, it's Waddle or D-Hop. I'm picking D-Hop. McBride or Swift in 1.5 tight end premium. Yeah, I've put McBride very, very high in my tight end rankings. McBride is my tight end 3 for this week. So we're going to start McBride. I understand anytime you put Swift in, it's going to be a lot of fun because he can catch passes out of the backfield. He's an efficient dynamic back, but he's my running back 20 for this week. As Philadelphia takes on the Seattle Seahawks, and this game may be in hand, and so I'm not too worried about the floor. Like we've seen DeAndre Swift finish outside the top 30 of running backs only twice this season outside of week 1. But those 2 weeks have come over the last two games where the Eagles have lost. They lost San Francisco and Dallas. Now, those were 2 very, very difficult matchups, 2 of the most difficult matchups they'll have the rest of the season, because now they get Seattle, they get the New York Giants, and they get Arizona. Cakewalk matchups. But maybe there's more sprinkling in of Kenneth Gainwell. Maybe there's more sprinkling in of Boston Scott. Whatever the case may be, if these games are in hand, I don't think Philly is going to be leaning into DeAndre Swift late in the game to salt games away. No. They're not going to do that. So give me McBride in 1.5 point premium. If Achane sits, should we go with Donta Foreman or Singletary? So I'm reading the tea leaves right now. I'm anticipating Achane to play. I'm anticipating him to play. I have him at running back 18. Consensus has him at 20. Of course, we'll monitor this situation. I have Singletary at running back 33 for the week. Foreman at 36. So the slight edge goes to Singletary against Tennessee, whereas Foreman, remember, gets Cleveland in Cleveland. So give me Singletary as slightly over Foreman. Njoku or Hollywood, full PPR. Yeah, this is an interesting one too, partly because when we talk about Hollywood Brown, we have to notice that since Kyler Murray has been back, it's been pretty ugly for Hollywood. Yeah, if we look at the game logs for Hollywood Brown, he was really tearing it up at the beginning, and then coming off of a 0-point game against Pittsburgh, and now the bye. Maybe it's a get right week, but that's all that we can hope for at this point. Like Hollywood Brown, over the last 5 weeks, has finished outside of wide receiver 50 in 4 of those 5 weeks. It's been bad. It's been very bad. So give me David Njoku with a competent Joe Flacco. Hollywood or Clyde Edwards-Helaire, half PPR. Also give me Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Given the volume that we saw last week, we want Clyde Edwards-Helaire volume. And the question is Hollywood going to do anything, even if he gets the volume? And I don't, as much as we like to clown Clyde Edwards, Lair, I think we have more confidence in his volume than Hollywood Brown's. Nikki, Superflex, pick 2. Love Howell Fields. Oh, we got Superflex. Yeah, love Howell Fields. That's surprising that we're at this point. But Fields is my quarterback 9 for the week. Love is at 11, and Howell is at 9. So Howell and Fields are my 2 picks of those. And then Nikki's also hitting it up. Tennessee or New Orleans DST for this week. New Orleans is at 5 in my rankings, and Tennessee is down at 19. So we'll go New Orleans this week as the Saints take on the New York Giants, the New York Tommy DeVito Giants. David Njoku or Dalton Kincaid in standard scoring. Oh, moving between the standards and all that. Kincaid I have at 8 in the standard scoring. Njoku I have at 9. So it is one of those coin flip scenarios, but give me Kincaid with the slight lean. Okay, Patrick Taylor time, baby. Maybe. He might just be good. We'll find out. Cool beans. Taylor has 5 plays over 11 yards last week. He goes. I hope so. If the Packers miss Jones and Dillon for this week, Taylor is very much on the flex radar. You think that the Packers are going to lean on Kenyon Drake? I'm not betting on it. So give me Patrick Taylor if both Dillon and Aaron Jones end up missing. Good. Davis Allen. Possibly. Okay, Brees or Achane. This is the semifinals. Once again, matchup. It's a full PPR. I do all my rankings in half PPR, but we can move them up. So Brees Hall is my running back 21 for this week. And Achane I have at 17 in the PPR rankings. So slight lean for Achane. Of course, if Achane is out, you're starting Brees. That's just how it works. Yeah. I love Fields this week. Yeah, Fields is going to be top 10 quarterback this week. I love it. Where do I have Darren Waller? Yeah, Darren Waller is expected to be back this week, and we do want to be putting Darren Waller in our lineups if we've been streaming tight ends. Darren Waller, I have ranked right now as my tight end 13. He's behind Isaiah Likely, Dallas Goedert, Dalton Kincaid, David Njoku, Jake Ferguson. Obviously, you started Hawkinson and Laporta. Laporta had the touchdown, and Amon-Ra just had another touchdown. Let's go, baby. That was amazing. I'm watching on the screen right over here. This is great. So I have Waller as a top 13 option this week. Look, what's the worst that can happen? He becomes wide receiver 25 or tight end 25, and he's in the Gerald Everett, Hunter Henry, Tyler Conklin range, or he gives you access to elite ceilings. Like, let's take the shots on elite ceiling tight ends for this week, and Waller is one of those guys, especially against New Orleans. Okay, the Joker, full PPR, Devon Achane. Are we going Hubbard? Or are we going Ford? Or are we going Calvin Ridley? I have Mostert as the RB1. Yeah, Mostert for me this week is running back 16 in the half-point scoring, but this is full point, so we'll change the scoring to PPR. Not a lot changes between those, really, like little shifts here and there. But Achane in the full PPR is running back 17 for me. Hubbard falls down to 27 against Atlanta. Jerome Ford is 28 against Chicago. Calvin Ridley, wow, that is, let's move to here. Calvin Ridley is my wide receiver 26. So we have to pick one. If Achane is healthy, we're starting Achane. Okay, but if Achane is out, I think I have Hubbard the highest of these three. Baby boom. Where do you have Miami and Atlanta DSTs ranked? Miami is my number 1 DST this week, and San Fran is number 3. Atlanta is 7. So those are all very good options. All right. We'll give you an opportunity. Put your comments in the comments section. You want your start sits, get them in there. I'll be answering them right after this.
This episode brought to you by Mojo. Mojo is that player stock market. We love Mojo because we like making lifetime bets on players. You run out the clock on these guys. Mojo just rolled out a brand new fantasy platform. That's right. So now you can build a portfolio of player props. Oh, Jamar Chase, over 77.5. Oh, Kadarius Toney, under 15.5. Whatever the under is on Kadarius Toney, doesn't matter. You can just stack up the props in your portfolio. And the beauty is, once the Sunday games kick off, it's not over. It's not over until it's over with Mojo, because once those games kick off, you can then move in and out of positions. Let's say that you're well ahead of expectations. You can cash out. Let's say you're behind expectations. You're underwater. Well, you can double down. That's what makes Mojo so special, why they're different. Check it out. Go to the App Store, get the Mojo app, and use the promo code Underworld. The promo code Underworld gets you a 100% deposit match up to $100. So the promo code is Underworld, and they will match your deposit dollar for dollar. Go to Mojo, start building your portfolio, and then during the games, you can be a fantasy day trader.
Woo. That's right. We love our friends at Mojo. Use the promo code Underworld, and we'll be in good shape. Lots of fun here. I see a few more comments in the chat as we are in. This is excellent. Thank you for jumping in to the Stardom Situm lineup lockdown Dominator with your host, Bradley Stalder, for the night. I'll be on for about 10, 15 more minutes. So throw in your start sit questions and I'll offer my thoughts and rankings. And we'll go from there. We've already talked about Darren Waller. We've talked about Achane. We've talked about Dalton Kincaid and David Njoku. We've talked about Hollywood Brown and what kind of risk he has been. We have uncertainty as to whether Chris Olave is going to play. So get your start sit questions in. You can comment. It looks like X is now working with StreamYard. So put them in on the X machine. Put them in on YouTube. If you're watching on the FaceSpace, Facebook, InstaChat, MyBook, get in here and join. Jump on in. Let's see here. We had some big games earlier today, but also big hits. Michael Pittman took a big hit and was ruled out due to concussion. Unfortunately, Pittman had not done, all the damage he could in this game. 8 for 95 last week, and had a few catches this week, but we didn't see Michael Pittman play the full game against Pittsburgh due to the concussion. So we'll see who ends up stepping up. DJ Montgomery ended up stepping up for the Colts, getting the touchdown. It's a big play. So I don't know what's going on with David Montgomery, but maybe I started the wrong D Montgomery today for my fantasy lineup. Oh, but they are replaying this Amon-Ra St. Brown touchdown hurdle, spin move, whatever you want to call it. It's phenomenal. This was wild. And this is happening about 25 minutes away from where I live. So the Detroit Lions are having themselves a game. They're up 21-0 at home against the Denver Broncos. And I'm Bradley Stalder here hosting tonight, answering some of your start-sit questions, getting into the rankings, and giving you some of the best advice in the fantasy industry. If you want to follow me, you can do so on Twitter, on the X machine, at FF Stalder, Stalder. Boom. You love to see the Amon-Ra St. Brown train crushing. Unfortunately, Amon-Ra, I don't believe, is on any of my Best Ball Mania teams that have advanced. No, he is. He is on that team. This is good. Yeah, Amon-Ra already at 16.1 fantasy points in half PPR scoring, 5 for 76 and a touchdown. Delightful for Amon-Ra St. Brown. So we'll see if Russ can bounce back a little bit in the second half. Jared Goff, 19 of 26, 215 passing yards, and 3 passing touchdowns in the first half. 1 to Laporta, 1 to Gibbs, and 1 to the Sun God himself. So Jared Goff, this is the second game this season with 3 or more passing touchdowns in the first half for Goff. He was a quarterback that, where did I have him ranked? I had him at quarterback 13 this week. So a high-end quarterback 2, can't really get any higher in the quarterback 2 range than Jared Goff. But I wonder if the Lions are going to run the ball a little bit more in the second half, given the lead. I mean, they've got some good runners in David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. So it would not surprise me at all if that's the route they want to go. Bobby Boom jumps in and says, hey, Waller gets Philly next week. Yeah, this is good. This is good news. As long as Waller is healthy, in most scenarios, he's going to beat out your streaming option tight end that you've been, holding on tight. Your Hunter Henrys, your Taysom Hills, your Gerald Everett's. Like, you're starting him over those types of tight ends. But once we get into the David Njoku's, like, give me Njoku, give me Ferguson. Give me Isaiah Likely until Andrews gets back. That's kind of the line that I'm drawing in the sand. But like Darren Waller over Chigakonkwo, Darren Waller over Conklin, over Donald Parham, over Michael Mayer. That's the line of demarcation for Darren Waller as we're moving forward. Cool beans. Well, it looks like I've answered all the questions that have come in. I really appreciate you guys spending a little bit of time with me on the X Machine, on YouTube, on Facebook. It's been a blast. I've had a lot of fun hanging out with y'all. Make sure you guys are checking out the tailgates on Thursday and Monday. I host the Thursday tailgates, and Tyler Kniebel hosts the Monday tailgates, and both are wonderful beasts. So make sure you're checking them out. 7:30 p.m. Eastern, Mondays and Thursdays, the rest of the season. And then also check out Theo Greminger's First Class Fantasy along with Billy. It's just great. It's first class. Like, Billy and Theo bring on some of the biggest names in the industry and talk fantasy. So if you want insight from the best minds, not just here at Player Profiler, but throughout, it's awesome to get diversity of opinions and perspectives so that we can become better players at this game of fake football that we love. So make sure you guys are tuning in on Thursday, on Monday, and whenever First Class Fantasy arrives for you, make sure you guys are doing that. All right, here we go. Until next time, everyone, good luck in the fantasy football streets, especially in week 15 in the playoffs.
Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning in. It's important to me that all of our media be free. This is only possible because of you, allowing a true independent sports media enterprise to thrive unlike any other in the business. So please subscribe to the All In package to continue to make all of this possible, to ensure that all of our stats, information, data, content is available to you, especially you, the people that get the site and get the show.